Hello everybody and welcome to Baking Bad episode 14, and today we're going to be making what is probably not the most popular biscuit ever, but the best biscuit ever. We are making Florentines. Now it's a very quick, easy bake, few ingredients. The oven I've just put on at 180 degrees, and for Florentines we're going to be using 120 grams of demarera sugar, 120 grams of golden syrup, 120 grams that I've already weighed out of unsalted butter, 120 grams of plain flour, so the butter, the golden syrup, the demarera sugar and the flour, all 120 grams. Okay, over here we have 50 grams of flaked almonds, 50 grams of crunched pecans, and 50 grams of crunched walnuts. In here we have 100 grams of mixed peel, 50 grams of dried cranberries, and 50 grams of dried sharp cherries. And we also have a couple of bars of lovely 70% chocolate, which we use to paint the bottoms once they're cooked. Over here I have some prepared trays with baking parchment on, and a little bit of butter on the baking tray means that the paper lies nice and flat. So we'll be getting onto that as soon as we're ready. Makes lots of biscuits and they are absolutely wonderful. So let's kick off straight away with 120 grams of demarera sugar. In we go. That's a good start, isn't it? So 130 grams, 120 grams of demarera sugar, 120 grams of butter. Let's have a look. I'll tell you what, let's cut those into cubes like so, roughly. 120 grams of unsalted butter. And 120 grams of the incredibly sticky golden syrup. So, whoa, here we go. Let's get that in. Yeah, that's good. Amazingly sticky stuff this, but it does stay on the spoon quite well. This is a glorious mixture, and what we're going to do is we're going to melt it all together. Then we're going to add the flour. Then we're going to add the other ingredients. So here we go, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, there we go. God. Right. Let's get that heating up to a medium heat. All we're looking to do is melt the butter and the sugar and the golden syrup until all of that has melted. As soon as it has melted, we take it off the heat, add the flour, stir it all in, then add all the fruit and the nuts. I'm actually going to add here, secret ingredient for Florentines, is a pinch of salt. So you have that slightly salty caramel thing going on, but only a pinch, a really tiny pinch. So everything starting to melt down. Okay folks, right, that has melted down. We're now going to add 120 grams of flour, then that goes. This is plain flour, not strong bread flour, just plain flour. Stir it right in so it kind of has the appearance of caramel. And remember to strain your flour, sorry, sieve your flour, I should say. So you get this nice caramelly appearance. Oh, yes. Okay, in with the almonds, in with the pecans and the walnuts, in with the dried fruit, your mixed peel, your cherries and your cranberries. And you can play around slightly with the different weights and amounts. You might want to use pine nuts, you might want to use other nuts, etc. Other fruits, and give it a good old stir. Get it onto the heat a bit, just to loosen it up slightly. Oh, there we go. Okay, that's just a small amount of heat. Let's get a trivet. That's what they're called, trivets. And what we're going to do is, so let's just give that a bit more of a stir, so it's all incorporated into one claggy old mess. Lovely stuff. Good. Right. And all you need is a teaspoon, because what happens is they spread out into a size about so big, and so you need to make sure that you have a decent spacing between the Florentines. Otherwise they'll bleed into each other. So there we go. You just get a teaspoon of the mixture. A teaspoon of mixture. Like so. It's not a lot. Just a little blob. Space them all out like this. And it's kind of hit and miss as to how much mixture you put in and what's contained within each teaspoon. Nice. And that's what we'll do. We'll just go through this. Get it into a bit of a blob, and that's all there is to it really. You'll be amazed at how they spread out as well. Any that needs a tiny bit more, yeah, go on, you have a tiny bit more, and maybe you have a tiny bit more, and then before you know it you're into a tiny bit more hell. There used to be a bakery in Stoke Newington where I used to live, where I got my taste for these. They are absolutely fantastic. And these actually are my favourite biscuits, I think, Florentines. Good, let's just be a bit more generous there. And there. Okay, hopefully I'll have got the spacing right. As you see, got quite a bit of mixture left. So, right, we have, what do we have here? We have 24 ovens up to speed. Right, 1, 2, 3, and 4. About 8 to 10 minutes for these, and then we'll get them going, get them out of the oven, and get them on cooling wire. They're very soft to begin with when they come out, so you just give them a minute or two on the trays to just harden slightly, and then they'll just come away, and then you can plop them on the trays to cool down. It doesn't take long to cool down, 15-20 minutes, and then we'll get on and temper a bit of chocolate and paint them on the back, and then we'll have them. So we'll come back when they're coming out the oven. Okay, let's have a look. Rock and roll kung fu oven gloves at the ready. Bubbling away. Every time I've made these, I've never really used baking parchment before, and it looks like it might have slightly impeded the spread. So once these have cooled down, we'll have a go at baking them straight onto the baking tray itself and see if they spread out a bit more. But that is pretty much what they should look like. Okay, so once these have cooled down, 5 to 10 minutes, we'll come back and get them onto the cooling wire to continue cooling down, and get the next batch on without baking parchment, because I always used to cook them straight on the trays. A slight amount of butter, which we've got already from sticking the baking parchment to the trays, so they're all kind of a bit greasy anyway. But they really need to properly cool down, because they're very, very soft at the moment. So we'll see you when we pull them off the trays. Okay folks, I've come up with a nice idea of just moving the paper off into the cooling racks just while they cool off, so I can reuse the baking trays, which are all nice, as you can see, and glossy, with the small amount of butter that I put on them. Good, right, let's reload these with the remaining mixture and see if we get more of a spread. So let's just get straight on in there with a nice big blob. Okay, round 2. Another 18. Cheers, hun. 1. Straight onto the trays this time with no baking parchment. In we go. And we'll see how these fare. So we've got 24 there. In fact, let's have a look at the ones we've got. Oh, yes. There we go. Oh, yeah. Slip off the paper, and they've hardened up really nicely. I have to say they do come off the parchment very well. A little shuffle, and they are pretty much completely cooled down, so that's a good sign. Now crispy and crunchy with sugar. Beautiful. Oh yes. What I've got here is about 90 grams, and then a further 35-40 grams here. And as I showed you when we were doing the chocolate decorations for the chocolate fudge cake, we're going to melt this down in the bain-marie, take it up to about 53-54 degrees using our thermometer. Once we get it off the heat, we then add the remainder of the chocolate. It's usually about a third of what's in here. So if you've got 90 grams in here, you've got 30 grams there, and you plop it in. That brings the temperature down. Once it comes down to about 29-28 degrees, it's ready to start painting. with my snazzy pink acrylic pastry brush. This is actually Rosemary's nice pink acrylic pastry brush. And then you paint the bottoms and then leave them to set. And there you have it. There you have them. So we'll have a quick look, actually see if we can see in the oven if they're spreading out. Early days yet, but yeah, they are starting to flop down and spread out. So we'll come back when we get those out of the oven and we'll see how they fared. So see you in about 5, 6, 7 minutes. See you in a bit. Oven off. Ho ho ho. Oh, yummy. Fizzing away. Beautiful. Right, we'll just wait for those to cool down so that we can get them off the tray and get them painted with chocolate. So we might as well kick off with that. So, nicely fresh boiled kettle of water. Always with a bain-marie, you make sure that the water doesn't touch the bowl. And there it is. Not touching the bowl. Getting it up to the magic 53 to 55 centigrade. Then we put the chopped chocolate in to the melted chocolate, stir that around and wait for the temperature to drop down to around 29 degrees. Again, it's not massively important because we're not tempering chocolate to make shapes. We're just painting the bottoms of the Florentines. Good. So we'll just wait for that chocolate to carry on melting. Get it up to 55 centigrade or 53 centigrade, around there. So coming up 52, that'll do for me. Right, and then to kill the heat of the bowl straight away. Let's get the other chocolate in. Plop, there it goes. Again, the edges of that bowl are seriously hot. That should do it. Yeah, that's calmed down a lot. And the other chocolate now melts. Yeah, you're good to go straight away, so are you. There you go, there's a classic Florentine for you. Look at that, beautiful. And finally, okay, apart from the one that Ro ate without the chocolate.
Very delicious, couldn't wait.
With that amount of mixture, we've managed to generate 42 biscuits. 7 trays of 6 per tray. So we'll just let them cool down a little more. They're just ever so slightly warm. These earlier ones have now completely cooled down. So in about 10 minutes, which is how long it will take for the chocolate to cool down, we'll come back and we'll start painting. So see you then. Okay folks, the chocolate has come down to 28.5 degrees and it's like slightly less liquid, which is still very lovely liquid. And we are now going to paint the Florentines. And it's a kind of a mucky old business. We might as well start at the front. And we paint the backs of the Florentines with chocolate, like so. And that's all there is to it, really. And I shall pile through these and get them all painted. And then we shall come back when they're dried. Chocolate will take a little while to dry, not long. And then they're ready to go. Keep them in an airtight box and they'll keep their crunch. And we'll be back when I've painted them all. So you don't have to watch me paint every single one. You can if you want, but we're not going to film it, so there. Okay, see you when we're done. That's the general idea. You get a pastry brush and you paint the lovely tempered chocolate onto the bottom of the Florentine and not the top. So there you go. See you when we're done. Okay, last one. Here we go. There we go. Okay, that is that.
I think that's mine. Thanks.
Yeah, it will be yours. Okay, right, on camera punch up over the chocolate. There we go, we'll just dab a few. Do any look a bit lean? There we go. And you can tell if you've tempered your chocolate properly because it dries quite quickly. Let's get a bit more on there. There's plenty in there for you, honey. There we go. Look at those. Right, you want the rest of this chocolate?
Thanks, Dad.
That's the last I'll see of the chocolate. There we go. There are your Florentines. All we need to do now is just wait for the chocolate to set, which will be an hour or two, and then we'll come back and Ro can give them the proper taste test and a proper verdict. And there you go. Nice, quick, easy, and just the best delicious biscuits ever. The classic Florentine. And when you're putting the blobs of mixture onto the baking trays, you can make them really big if you want to. Put a tablespoon, not a tablespoon, put a dessert spoon load on instead of a teaspoon. But I kind of quite like them at this nice, neat little size. But and you can alter the level of ingredients with the balance of the sugar and the golden syrup and the butter and the flour, so they can really spread out. It might get a little bit too thin and then the edges will burn as it's cooking. So that's your recipe. Those are your Florentines. Absolutely beautiful biscuits. So we'll come back when the chocolate's dried and Rosemary gets to taste them. Okay, thank you very much. Okay, here is the lovely Lady Rosemary, who's
Growing larger by the month.
Yep. And you've inverted a few so you can see the top. These are what the bottoms look like. Lovely, lovely, lovely chocolate. Beautiful chocolate coated Florentines. And there they are. And we thought, right, we'll wrap this film up with the taste test. So away you go, honey. Let us know what you think. That's your chosen one.
Maybe more than one. I love Florentines because of the caramel and the fruit. They are lovely, aren't they? They're buttery.
Yep, there's lots of butter.
And crispy.
Yep, caramelly. That flour, golden syrup and demarera mixture. The demarera, incidentally, isn't fully melted. So you get the little crunch of demarera sugar. You can use light brown sugar, but it's just not the same texture.
And they're chewy like toffee.
Yeah,
Very good, darling.
thank you. They are rather nice, and they are very quick to do, and you can impress your family and friends with fabulous Florentines. They are my favourite biscuit. I'll be having quite a fair few of these, and also our youngest daughter Mojo, when she became a mum for the first time 5 years ago, we arrived at the hospital and she'd had a cesarean and had a pretty rough time of it. And I turned up with a box of these, and she just went, "Oh, Dad!" And she scarfed the whole lot. They were her favourite thing. So there you go, Florentines. That's Baking Bad episode 14 now. So 14 bakes under my belt for this particular series. Don't know what I'm going to do for Baking Bad 15, but you can bet it'll be fantastic. Okay folks, thank you for watching. See you soon.